Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Come on!
Live from the Swanson Inn in beautiful Waitsfield, Vermont. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center, New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show. On my right is half of Miss Mara, who's partially assisting us here and partially inhaling Vermont waffles and maple syrup.
Oh, that was a great waffle. It's very good.
It's a very good
delicious.
waffle. We're up in here at the bed and breakfast with little Tarun. And guess who's sitting across from me but Mr. Steve Amari, who somehow fixed himself within the whole Waitsfield Inn Bhakti thing they got going up here. It's great to wake up at a bed and breakfast and get a prasadam waffle.
Nice.
Prasadam waffle, you know? You don't have to ask, does this have an egg in it? Does this have any pork in it?
I don't think they normally put.
They don't put pork in waffles usually?
Not that I know of.
Okay. You never know. Anyway,
you want a
we're up here.
halal waffle? halal waffle.
And if you're new to the show, welcome. We do this every weekend, Q&A day. Okay. Q&A day, people write their questions in. If you have a question, you can write them into Miss Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and we'll put them in a list, and we'll answer your questions as best as we can. And we do this podcast
today.
every day. And you can find us wherever you get podcasts. Remember to follow, like, and share. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Oh, man. You know what I found yesterday while setting up? What?
Just be careful. I could just tell you are like Gabby, little Gabby today. Don't go off too far.
I'm always Gabby.
No,
I'm not going off too
this morning.
far.
You've been really bad.
Really?
Not bad. I don't want to say bad. I don't want to
Don't
sound
say
like
bad.
A
you know what I mean?
Really all over the place.
You should relook at that. Re-examine.
Okay.
How about I'm engaging, transcendentally engaging. Check this out. So I found my astrology chart done from 1994. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And it gave me some very deep realizations about life. First of all, you start to see your life as a timeline. Not as a timeline. Usually you see a timeline like, in geometry, you'd write a line with an arrow, like it just goes on forever. It starts at 0 and goes on forever. But when you start to see it as like a beginning, a middle, and an end, you're like, oh, I get it. Because I remember reading this 30 years ago, and they're talking about, well, when you come to 56, you'll be entering in a new major period of Saturn. And I remember reading that. I was like, yeah, 56. When am I going to be 56? And now I'm 57. I'm reading this. I was like, oh, my God. And it's going through my life like I'm reading my autobiography. It's really sort of scary. And then it's like, in 67, it's all where I'm at exactly right now. And it talks about slowing down and getting very focused and getting really internal and giving shelter and giving bhakti and traveling to holy places regularly. I mean, it's like really, it's been really spot on. And then it says, it's talking about this.
Hold it. You've slowed down. You've. What are you
Yes.
talking about?
Are you kidding?
You've slowed down.
I was a rolling stone, man.
Yeah. When was the last time you left home? You were in California a couple weeks ago. You're going off tomorrow to Atlanta and Nashville. Then you're flying off to India.
I'm in
then
Vermont
you're,
tonight.
I mean, you're slowing down.
Anyway, it was very, very accurate. I've got like sannyas and renunciation written all over my chart.
Do you?
Yeah. And
Are you
yes,
sure this was your chart?
I'm serious, man. And not only
guess-
that, it's making me realize like, and instead, you know, you're going to have lung issues. I was like, I do have lung issues. I already have lung issues. And I was thinking, like, you know what? If I start to think like, he says, I'm not sure if you're going to live past 67. That's what it said. And I was like, that's 10 years away. I was like, all right, what do I need to do to finish my Krishna consciousness in 10 years? What do I have to do? It started really sobering me up to like, and to see this world with all its exciting stuff and tragic stuff and adventurous stuff as just like, don't you get it, man? It's it. That's it. Steve Amari's looking at me like, oh God. Yeah, you too, Steve Amari. You and me, we're old men. Get used to it. It's reality. I don't care how much Astanga yoga you
We're going
do.
to move over to Tamara now, and then we're going to take some questions, if you don't mind.
Steve Amari's like, but I do Astanga yoga and I fast once a week. Makes no difference. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, we got Bhakti Recovery Group meetings at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. today. And Nityananda Chandra's Shloka memorization group meets at 10 a.m.
Nice.
And we're going to do a Q&A day tomorrow.
I thought we had the day off because we're on vacation. Didn't that happen? Kostuba's going to do it with Steve Amari. How about that?
Let's get serious. Are we going to do it tomorrow or not?
My vote is I need a day off.
Okay, we'll give you a day off.
Okay. Thank you, Kostuba. So we're taking a day off tomorrow, guys.
So let's answer some questions
for it.
today.
Okay.
At least. Okay.
Monday's show will be 6 a.m.
All right. Why don't I read the first question, Raghu?
Okay.
I'm going to jump forward in the list that we had here. This one is from an anonymous Sage Group member. And by the way, Sage Group registration begins tomorrow to get into the new groups.
Okay.
So if you would like to join a Sage Group, have a little. Everybody that takes it, we just hear the best feedback. It's just a way to get into get a little sangha.
Develop community.
Yeah, develop community.
Like-minded souls.
Bhakti, you need to ask questions, share, have some people to bounce back and forth with, get together once a week, spend about an hour and a half together.
Laugh
Small
a little,
groups.
cry a little.
Sometimes people cry a little. Can happen.
Sometimes people laugh, sometimes they cry.
But you go to wisdomofsages.com, you click on Sage Groups, and tomorrow you're going to be able to register for new groups, which will
Really
begin
exciting.
in early October.
So is there a specific time? Like you got to get in there
I
now?
think it is. I think it starts at 9 or 10. It goes live, something like
It
that.
goes live. You hear that, guys? Whatever you're doing, if you're driving, pull your car over, log in, and get in on a Sage Group.
Because you might not get in your top pick of group if you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from an anonymous Sage Group member. This is a tough question, Raghunath.
Okay. Hit me.
They write, I have been feeling materially exhausted for a pretty long time.
Mm.
I feel it is almost turning into depression.
Mm.
I'm not sure what to do or which direction to go. I feel unmotivated when it comes to my practice of devotion. And I feel like I haven't been close to God in a while.
Mm.
In turn, it's a negative cycle. In order to have motivation, I want to feel close to God, but I haven't been. So I guess it's like I need to feel motivated to feel close to God, but I need to feel close to God to feel motivated. And
Sure.
I guess I'm wondering if you have any advice.
Sure.
I think a lot of people probably feel this way, huh?
Can I jump on this?
Yeah, please.
Mr. Anonymous or Mrs. Anonymous. You know, I find like in my life, I've always been happily engaged in bhakti when I'm happily engaged in a contribution that I'm excited about.
Okay.
Like people say that about their work. You know, if you love your work never feels like work. It feels like play. It just feels like you're playing every day. And that's true in the material world. It's like, yeah, I'm going to work every day. I can work 24/7. I love it. You got to love your work. And I think it's important to love what you're doing in bhakti. Like I love doing the podcast, even though I wanted the day off tomorrow. I actually love doing it. I love waking up. I love the accountability. I love the community. I love what we're creating. I feel like it's significant. I feel like it's having an impact. And I love doing it. And it's part of it's not just like a job. And the last thing I look at it as a job, I look at it as my contribution to the whole. And I think beyond the quote initiation, behind the ashram you're in, and behind beyond following particular rules, you have to be passionate about your service or your we call it our service, but it's really your contribution to the greater whole. And I think even like self-help gurus and people who want to, find your passion in life, you need something to wake up for in the morning. You need the why I'm here, whether it's in the material world or in your spiritual activity. So yeah, you can understand the principles. Krishna's God, got to offer food to Krishna, got to wake up, got to chant japa, you can understand all that stuff, but you need, what is your particular contribution? And that contribution should be to give back and lift somebody else up. And you'll find yourself buoying upward as you extend your hand. And everyone's got a creative way they can do it. I know some people just like in the office, in the workplace, they just sort of like extend their love to people. I've met people who do it in the military. I've met people who do it in all sort of circles, and where they just set a nice example of being a devotee and extend that to other people, or read to them, or maybe their thing is kirtan, maybe their thing is not kirtan at all, maybe it's art, maybe their thing is not art at all. It just could be good, being a friend, or contributing to a bigger group or temple or a community or something, where we feel like I'm not just isolated alone in this world doing bhakti, but I have something I want to contribute towards. So we need to find that why that makes us wake up in the morning. That's what I say.
I like that, Raghunath. I was thinking in a similar vein. Yeah, I don't know if I read this verse. Did I read the verse about that I shared when I spoke at the Bhakti Center the other night on Jamastami about Krishna, and it was describing him? And
I don't even remember us talking about Jamastami afterwards.
okay. I'll read this verse. There's just something in it it's describing Krishna's form.
Yeah.
It says Krishna wears a pearl necklace that appears like a chain of white herons around his neck.
Oh.
Right? He's got a peacock feather in his hair. It looks like a rainbow.
Ooh.
He's got yellow garments that appear like
yellow garments.
Oh, come on. Well, we got the rainbow.
Oh, sunshine, sunrise,
lightning.
Lightning.
His body, the complexion of his skin is like a dark cloud, right? Krishna appears like a newly risen cloud.
Ooh.
Okay, so he's like the cloud, the rainbow is there, the lightning's there. He's like this beautiful, glorious
picture of
sky,
nature,
right?
Nature boy.
Yeah, and then now this is the part I wanted to bring attention to. And the gopis appear like. Any idea what the gopis would appear like in this, Raghunath? If Krishna's like this cloud, and he's kind of the sky, and within that cloud is this
a cool breeze.
Close. I mean, it kind of close in a sense.
Lightning.
No, lightning was the close.
Oh yeah.
If Krishna's a cloud,
so rain.
Well, who's he gonna rain? Like, what does the cloud rain upon?
A cool pond.
Okay.
I don't know why we play 20 questions with everything in the material world.
Okay. Krishna appears like a newly risen cloud. Now think about this. This is going to start to relate to the question. And the
Okay.
gopis appear like newly grown grains in the field.
Okay, I wouldn't have got that. Good.
Constant rains of nectarian pastimes fall upon these newly grown grains.
Hmm.
And it seems that the gopis are receiving beams of life from Krishna,
Beams.
exactly as
Life.
grains receive life from the rains.
Hmm.
So this is the natural relationship between the soul and Krishna that you should be feeling. We should be feeling enlivened. Like,
Hmm.
you got these. Um, if there's no rain, those grains, like you imagine wheat or whatever, it starts to sag and just like wilt.
Right.
We got a world of people that are wilting a lot.
Yeah.
We're stuck, particularly in our day and age. I don't I don't really know any history of psychology and all that, but my guess is there may have been lots of problems in the world, like if you go back a few centuries, but I
Right.
don't think people were just sitting there depressed and
You know,
all the
there's like
time.
this element of I gotta survive. That
Yeah,
survival
that
element
can
was
kind
real.
of snap you out of it. But things like how we live our lifestyles, a lot of it leads to feeling down. And so I do want to touch on this, like experts, when they speak about kind of shaking that kind of tendency towards depression, they say you got to exercise and get outdoors in nature, right? You got to move around a little bit. You can't just be stuck in an office, stuck in an apartment, stuck
Yeah.
indoors. You got to eat good, healthy food, and you got to, drink good quality water. These ingredients that we're putting in our body, they affect our minds.
When I lived in New York City, I used to go to the Appalachian Trail in New Jersey and bring back bottled spring water.
Look at you working
Huh? Good quality
on
water.
nature boy over here. Okay. Then this is a big one. You got to cut down on the social media time. You got to cut down on the television.
Yep.
Has this ever happened to you once before, Ragnar? I've done this before.
What?
I've been there. You're watching like the computer screen, like watching some show or something like that, or
Yeah.
maybe even scrolling or whatever, and then like the screen goes black, and you see the reflection of your face.
And you're like, looks like you're stoned or something.
It just looks like you got no life in you at all.
It is. It's
Like,
so addictive. Like I
yeah,
know what a drug addict feels like.
yeah. If we could see our faces when we're looking into these screens, we would realize how dead we are when we're
Right.
watching these
Right.
screens.
We're like
Most of the
we've
time, right?
like sacrificed our soul
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah. You got to look at yourself and say, oh, that's me. Oh my God. I'm just like, there's
Right.
no life in me.
Yeah.
So that stuff is sucking the life out of us. We got to get we got to get a healthy sleep, and wake up feeling refreshed. That means go to bed early, get up early, you know, those are the best hours of sleep and time come, in before midnight. You get the most recharge. If we're staying up late watching television, getting to sleep late, waking up late with a headache, we're going to go through life depressed.
Sure.
We got to we got to build strong relationships with quality people and be willing to adjust our routine, shake it up, rip up the game plan a little bit, turn it upside down. It's like in these sporting matches where like you go in there at halftime and you're down 20 points. You tear up the previous plan, you create a new one. So like get ready to change life a little bit. Find those people that inspire you, walk up to them and do something you would have never done. You really inspire me and I want to serve you or spend more time with you. Could we make that happen in some way? Like do shake it up,
Shake it up.
and I liked what Raghunath was saying, and I was going there too. Find a way to help other people. Find a mission in life, and get that mission clearly. It can be small. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going to have thousands of followers and create a revolution. It can be as simple as something like, my mission is to raise my children to be give them every advantage that they can have, so that they can make a quality contribution to this, be happy and healthy, and make a quality contribution to this life. It may be it may be something very local, right? But find that mission, and of course that mission should be that I become fully conscious of Krishna and I realize my connection, and therefore I'm like those grains that are getting rained on and being given new life. right? We got to get some new life. We get stuck. You know, our Sage group member was saying, I haven't felt close to God in a long time.
Ooh.
Fact is God is right there in your heart at every moment. But the mind is stuck in negative loops.
Right.
So shake up that mind, you know, in different ways. Get it. And what you said, Raghunath,
What?
it was so true. Like when you and I were young men,
Yeah.
we dove headfirst into this crazy. Not everybody that's here in our podcast is going to have the opportunity to do what we did. Like we just said, we're full in. Take
Sure.
us to India, teach us everything. We're ready to run around and sacrifice in any way to. And our faith in this got so deep, and our connection to the mission of practicing this, understanding this, sharing this became so fixed in our life.
We had a calling to share it with others.
Yeah.
And even if it wasn't our calling, we made it our calling.
In one sense, it can be anyone's calling, right? It's like,
Yeah.
on some level or another.
You have to be touched to in your heart that you feel like this is the best I can do for any of the problems out there. This is the best I could do. This is the best offering I can give. I
Yeah.
want to give some shout out to you because, you know, when there were a lot of people saying, you know what, I want to just live in an ashram and do this. Kostuba picked up the role of full-on missionary. He would go out and give Bhagavad Gita's people, and it sounds like that sounds fun. It's not fun. You get a lot of people. You get a lot of people who are like, "Beat it, loser! Get a job," you know, stuff like that. Kostuba's just like, you know, I mean, if you listen to this podcast, you know, Kostuba, he's just he just will not give. He will just not bend a little. He's just very, very focused, dialed into like what he's into, and because of that, it gives you some type of sweetness. Not everybody could do that. A lot of people did try to take up that service as missionaries, and some didn't last. And they just said, you know what? I can't find my place in bhakti. And unfortunately, sometimes they even went far away from the path because of that. In my situation, my path in bhakti was I started a bhakti punk rock band.
Yeah.
But the beauty and the beauty I got from that was by Krishna was that I got to engage all these things I was already naturally good at. I was already famous when I lived in the ashram. I was already sort of a songwriter. I already started a record label. I already knew how to book my own tours, and it just worked out. I got to engage everything I was already good at in Krishna's service. So it's a new age now. It's a whole new age in bhakti yoga. And most of us are not living in the temple. We'll never live in a temple. The fact is, what are you good at that you can contribute, where you can feel like, yep, I'm going to make this happen for the benefit of the devotees and for the benefit of people out there. And if we got to really think about those things, we need to figure out that why. It is the best alarm clock.
That's great. And Rogan, I shout out to you because in one sense, you and I were doing the same thing, just in different ways. You know, you were facing a lot of flack for what you were doing too.
Well, I got a lot of flack from the conservatives.
There's something, the conservative hardcore people out there.
No, that's the left. The left gave me a lot of flack, and the conservative Hare Krishnas gave me a lot of flack.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. I don't think that was as challenging though.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say something. Now I completely forgot.
You're saying give a lot of credit to you because we were doing the same thing.
I forget. But in any case, another thing that I wanted to say.
Just give me credit for something else then. Just whatever else you want to appreciate me for.
So these are the two things, right? Getting the routine right, not being afraid to shake up our routine. We get so weak that we just get caught up in the mundane, and we think a little bit like, oh, I would like to change it. Maybe I should pick up a book and read it. Oh, I'm bored after the first 3 pages. I'm done. I surrender. You know, it's like have this faith that there is a type of life-giving juice in anything that's connected to Krishna, and find that connection, find where those connections are strong. It's very strong in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and reading these books. They're really potent. It's very potent in kirtan, you know. Right. It's very
potent in serving, in doing service and doing seva, finding that mission. And this is where I wanted to go, Raghunath, was that all the little things you do in life that you have to do, like you may say, I don't have time to do this because I have to
Yeah.
cook and I have to clean and you have to find a way to tie cooking and cleaning into your mission then,
Sure.
right? And that's not like some kind of artificial kind of
No.
game
Keep your house like a temple. Every time
for
you
Krishna.
clean your every time you clean your house, you think I'm cleaning the temple.
Every meal that you have to cook, you're cooking it for Krishna. You're making it a really nice offering. You're using the best ingredients you can find. You're becoming more expert at it. You're taking more interest in it. You're not just doing it to get through the day and get it over with. You're doing it infused with bhakti. And I get it that this is challenging. We are like these grains that haven't gotten any water and we're all wilted. Push it, shake it up, and find the people that'll help you do it. Reach out to them. Don't be shy about it. If you could, I was thinking right now, you and I, we do live a bit in the 2.0 Krishna conscious world where it's like we try to be understanding of people's circumstances and not, I don't know, not be too rigid. But at the same time, there is some value in someone just saying, "Hey, turn it upside down now," right? Because the years are
You're in Maya. Calling people out. You're in
Maya.
Maya. You're in Maya.
know,
Oh yeah, I'm in Maya. You're in Maya.
I think about that story where Vishnu John Swami, who was this super charismatic devotee, and he was just traveling around America on a bus, going to different college campuses, and more or less like he was so charismatic. He would lead kirtan, and he would convince people to just leave college, jump on the bus, and like go, And there was one story where like one guy was like they stayed at this one college for like a week, and this guy got totally interested in it, and he's like, "My God, this is you guys, you really got it going on here. I would love to go with you. I just can't because I got these tickets to go see the Who next week." And like at that time, like the Who was like the biggest, Pete Townsend smashing guitars going, it was like that was the hottest ticket you could get, the Who.
Right.
And Vishnu Jaswal said, "You got tickets for the Who?"
You got tickets for the Who? Where are your seats? Where your? Oh, I got good seats.
Oh, let me see the tickets. Can I see the tickets?
He's like, because we're leaving tonight. He's like, I know tomorrow. I'd go, but the tickets for tomorrow. Tickets for tomorrow, or else I'd go with you guys tonight.
He said, "Can I see the tickets?" "Yeah, I got them right here." Handed the tickets. Vishnu John Swami just took the tickets, ripped him to shreds right in his face. Now get on the bus.
It wasn't an e-ticket either.
No, they didn't have e-tickets back then. Sometimes we just need to not be afraid to shake it up. Life is, so I don't know this anonymous Sage Group member, and I don't know their circumstance, but I just want to share this thing. Shake up the routine.
Yeah.
Reach out to good people and connect with them, and be bold enough to speak. Don't be shy. Be bold enough to say, even to go to someone you're close to and say exactly what you expressed here in this thing, express to them. I want to be Krishna conscious. I want to have a dynamic life, and I'm stuck. And I see you and you're not. Can you help me break out of this rut? I need to read. I need to chant. I need to serve. Can you help me? And if that person doesn't respond well, like, I wish I could help you. I don't know what to tell you. Find someone else. Don't be shy. Don't be shy to shake it up. So find that mission.
And that person started by writing us. That person started by writing us.
Yeah, that's the first great step. And get a healthy routine, get the right amount of sleep, get the good healthy food, get outdoors, all that kind of stuff. And also shake it up, reach out, get dynamic. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of being embarrassed. Saying things that you haven't said before, doing things you haven't done before. It's worth it, It's worth it. Okay.
It's a whole blank canvas.
Okay.
All right. What else?
Life's a blank canvas. You wake up, it's a new
question.
Day.
Shake it up, Kastuba Das.
Shake it up.
All right.
Okay.
What's next? What do you want to do?
I was going to jump, and I was going to read two questions together, Raghunath.
All right, good.
Because these both have to do with like marriage or partnerships in bhakti.
Marriage.
Ready?
Yep.
The first one is anonymous.
And this is what it says. It says, I try to stay a little ahead of y'all in the Bhagavatam. That's a clue.
Okay, it's a clue to who this anonymous person
Southerner.
is. They're from south of the Mason-Dixie line.
Okay. Mason Dixon. I try to stay a little ahead of y'all in the Bhagavatam. So I get the opportunity to go over things twice. So they're reading ahead of us and then they're hearing it in the show.
Okay.
I'm in the chapter where the sages are speaking to Chitraketu. This is coming a few chapters ahead in the 6th canto, about the death of his son. Chitraketu was his king. He had everything he wanted, but he didn't have his son. He was really suffering because of it. And then he finally got one. And then the child died very soon afterward. And then he went into deep depression. And then the sages came and they began to speak to him. Right. So he says, I like how it presents the idea. He said, I'm in the chapter where the sages are speaking to Chitraketu after the death of his son. I like how it presents the idea of impermanence, how he was not his son and he was not his father, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
You identify with this boy as your son, but actually he's just a soul passing through this, and now he's moved on and you're going to move on. You're not his father. He's not your son. With that understanding, what is the way to view marriage, right? Is this my wife? Is this my husband? You know, is any of that real? Isn't that all illusion too?
Right.
Temporary? I've been married to my high school sweetheart for 13 years. No kids wanted, and we're absolutely sharing in space of love with one another. I understand detachment in terms of leaving the body, but if we're all just playing roles, then why get married? Right? If it's just if the Gyanik point of view, if the truth, right, is that this isn't my husband or wife, we're just quickly passing through. But it seems like marriage is all about like this bond, creating this bond that's unbreakable, bond that's forever, right? So what are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
What am I thinking of?
Huh?
Curb Your Enthusiasm. There was this
Curb Your
funny clip of
Eternity.
there's this clip from Curb Your Enthusiasm where she was reading some, like, they're going to take their wedding vows again. They said, "I will love you for eternity." And what's his name? Larry David said, "Wait a second, eternally? I thought when we die, it's over. You're saying we have to do this for?" She's like, "Of course we want to do this eternally." She's like, "Well, I never knew it was eternally. I thought, okay, we do it for this life."
Okay. So our writer continues, just as an expression of material nature, or is it an opportunity to become closer with God? What is this marriage all about, right? Or is it a hindrance towards our walk back to God? Identifying with this person as our mate and so on. I have my own opinions, but I'm curious of what yours are. Many thanks for all that you do. Okay, so the first question is saying, what's the meaning of marriage in a bhakti context, in a yoga context, right? On one hand, we're supposed to understand these relationships are temporary blips in time, but then we make this commitment. Is it a commitment to illusion? Does it have some way to help us in our bhakti? That's the first question. Now, the second question is coming from Amy Stellar from New Jersey. Okay.
Hit me.
She says, a couple of weeks ago on the show, Raghunath said that in order to advance in our bhakti practice, we should have a partner in life. You did say that, Raghunath.
Did say that.
Okay. What you said, you need a partner. You need what else? Real quick.
Said you need a partner. You need a mission. That's what we just talked about. You need a contribution.
Those two things.
You need a teacher, a community.
Okay.
Teacher.
So
you need elders.
Elders. Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, Raghunath said that in order to advance in bhakti practice, we should have or find a partner in life. Previous to that, it was taught and discussed that Krishna can be our big L partner, big love partner, the eternal love, the true love. Right? I'm approaching 50, divorced mother of 2, newly single. I'm confident in being single. Can't Krishna be the one for my love and devotion? Do I have to go out and find another? Raghunath, you said I had to find a partner. Do I really?
Yeah.
I'm tired of sharing my life with someone other than my kids. even my kids are in their late teens. One just left the home. The other will soon. Please guide me. My humble obeisances.
Yeah,
So
I think in
two questions.
Amy's situation is different than my
Okay.
recommendation. A lot of people are just looking around for a partner and they can't sit peaceful. She's sort of been through it. She's been there, done that, and she dated, done that, and now she's just happy being alone. She's committed to it. She has a community. She has kids. She feels responsible for those kids. I think with
Yeah.
a person like Amy, no, you just need good quality friends
Okay.
that are on a spiritual path. You're not looking around. There's some women and men who are just like her, her, her. You can't even sit in peace. You can't even, if you're a yoga teacher, or if you're a professor, or if you're something where you've got a lot of people around you, everybody's becomes an option. We don't want to be like that. We want our mind to be peaceful.
Settled.
That's a big part of marriage too. It's like, you know what? This is my person. That means when my mind goes to some other person, I say, no, I
Bring
have
it
a
back.
person. You bring it right back. And that's part of the container of marriage. And that helps you move. Because what really breaks you and puts you in deep Maya is the constant engagement of sense enjoyment with unrestricted senses. And this goes back to the first question. Why is there a marriage in the first place? It's to regulate my senses
Mm.
and to regulate my life, really. Because for half the population, they want to spread their seed everywhere, and you can't do that. If you're trying to live a moral, and this is how morals serve prema bhakti, your morality is meant to serve your love of Godhead. So the big part in we have to control our senses, and we have to say, this is my family, this is my unit, this is my these are my children, and I want to be responsible for my children. And in those behaviors that come with dharmic living or integrity driven living, come a type of regulation and sattva, mode of goodness, that will assist me. They're not my God, but they're assisting me on my path to God. Morality isn't my God. God is my God. So with Amy, I'd say you're done with it. Now you move forward. You have these people in your life. But yes, for this first question, it is an illusion. It is. You are committing yourself to illusion because we need it. Oftentimes we need that illusion. We need to feel like I need to fall in love in the material world. We have that. It's such a deep rooted calling. But if you add wisdom to that and frame it out, then that true love of mine, the love of my life, my childhood sweetheart, etc., we will put it in ultimate perspective and not let them become your God either. You'd be holding hands, holding pinkings, walking towards God, but don't let that other person be your God. You're always going to let them down, or they're going to let you down. And have a spiritual relationship within that context. And if you don't need kids, you don't need kids, whatever. That's up to you guys. But that container of marriage is exactly what you need, most likely. And then because it's the material world, tragedy happens at one point. Sometimes when you least expect it. And then you need that philosophy, that lifestyle, that knowledge that you're taking in every day in the podcast or in the wisdom literature that you study, that, oh, that's right, I thought this was going to last forever. In the searching of my astrological chart yesterday, I found all these old family photos, and
What are you digging into
well,
yesterday?
I was just digging through boxes, trying to like set up an office and a file cabinet and going through old papers, and all these photos came up. So when I first got married, I raised two little stepchildren, and that was almost like one family. And then I had my next two kids with my wife. That was like another family. Then I had, my 9-year-old son now, and that was almost like three separate families. And I'm looking back at these. I was like, that was so real. And there's completely gone. It's like completely out of my vision. I don't even talk to my stepkids anymore. It's like another life, and that's the material world. And I was sad, and I was looking at it like with love. I was looking with sadness. I was looking with yeah, and I was looking at it with
a bit of
reality.
detachment too.
Yeah, just like Chitraketu in the story. I was looking at it like, you know what? They weren't my sons. They have their own path. None of my children are my children. They have their own path. And the best thing I can do is love them and lead them towards light.
Love
all
them
I can
and
do.
lead them towards light. It's a triple
Love,
L.
lead them towards light. And that's all I can do.
Nice.
And I can't control how it turns out.
Right.
And I can't control my spouse or how they turn out. And hopefully my spouse wants to hold my hand and lead me towards God.
Hmm.
But it is a mirage. It is a chapter. It is a dream. It does seem so real. And it is real in the same sense a dream is real. Dreams appear real. They can change my heartbeat. They can make me sweat. They can make me laugh. Dreams do that. But how do I know it's a dream? It ends. I wake up from it. And when I look back at these photos of my family, I think, it's like it was a dream now. It's like it was a dream. The Stuba.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Few considerations regarding Amy Steller, and regarding both of these questions. It's always a challenge. Even if we were living in, centuries ago in India in a more kind of Vedic social setting,
Mm-hmm.
even still, it's challenging to take these teachings, these wisdom, this wisdom from these ancient texts, and find out just how to adjust it in my life. Right? It was much simpler in their world. It wasn't a crazy upside down, bizarro world that we live in today. But even then, it can be challenging. That's the challenge, to take instructions and then make them work in life rather than work against you. And so Raghunath gave a general kind of piece of advice that for most people, it's going to help them to have a partner, because it's going to help them settle down and not be Amy's saying, I'm already settled down, even though I'm no longer with that partner. Then you don't necessarily need that advice in your life. That may not apply to you. So it's always a question of figuring out how this applies to the individual. Right? There's general ideas, and then there's the fine tuning of them. Stay with me, Raghunath.
I am. I'm here. I'm with you. I'm looking right at you.
And the anonymous writer was writing about, what is the point of the marriage? Isn't it just roles? Is it just playing roles? Are we all? Yes, we are just playing roles. And there's the idea that we can recognize that I play different roles, or you can say I have different dharmas in life. Every living being has these two dharmas, right? Every living being has their functional identity and their functional dharmas.
Like that.
And their fundamental identity, or their fundamental dharmas, right? Dharma. That eternal fundamental dharma that everybody shares is that I'm a servant of Krishna. There's no illusion whatsoever in that. That's the fact. That's the eternal truth. Although I'm not living it so well. Now, one way to approach that reality and step out of illusion is cold turkey cutting everything off, right? The family's not real. The job's not real. The home's not real. None of this is real. It's all just part of one larger role that I'm playing. Walk away from it. And certain schools of yoga and certain paths, people actually do that. But we also have to look, and this was what was Arjuna was on that battlefield. Why should he fight that battle? He's playing a role as a warrior. But Krishna was telling him to play that role. Krishna was saying, don't walk away. Because if you walk away, you're just going to externally you'll look like a yogi. Internally, you'll just be pretending, because your mind is attached. You're going to be sitting there thinking about how Duryodhana treated Draupadi, and how they tried to kill or the vows that you took, and so on. Better you play the role as a warrior informed with the right knowledge, and contemplate your identity within that setting, than to walk away from everything. And so marriage is a practical way. It's a very practical adjustment to make in life. That, yes, I'm not eternally your husband, and you're not eternally my wife. Those are roles that you and I are going to play together for some time period. We can tell this to Larry David, right? And we both know that, right? We both know that. But we're going to do it within the context of the two of us moving, not toward, as Raghunath was saying, not towards each other for eternal fulfillment, but helping each other move by playing these roles, settling our minds, sacrificing, our selfishness,
Mm.
letting go of our very self-centered mindset within this context of marriage, and together moving towards that eternal truth. So in order to practice yoga well in this world, it's going to be necessary that we can embrace these two ideas at the same time. I have a functional identities and roles that I play,
Mm.
and I have a fundamental role that is my eternal dharma, right? I'm going to engage in my temporary roles. I'm going to do them informed with the knowledge of my eternal identity. And my temporary roles will become the form through which I'll cultivate deeper and deeper understanding of my eternal identity. And marriage is a very practical way to do that.
Well put.
Okay.
There's so many lessons you learn in marriage and responsibilities that sort of would just go, otherwise would just lead to a reckless mind, a reckless lifestyle.
Yeah.
There's no
That's right.
accountability. There's no accountability. You want to keep your mind in accountability. Mm? If you have that very tight association of an ashram where you were living and you like and you appreciate that and you don't need that intimacy of another partner, most people do. Most people do. Although Mara said she like didn't need me.
I don't need you.
And she said that. She said that. She was like, wasn't looking around and didn't care.
No, I was pretty happy single.
She was happy single.
Okay.
I had to shake it up a little for her.
I was happy. Don't need you.
She was like, I'm happy single. I was just sitting there knitting, and then you came along. But yeah.
Okay.
But
So
not everybody can
I
be
hope
like
that's helpful.
Miss Mara.
You know,
Anyway,
this is
that was
just
good.
a fundamental idea just in relation to both of these questions. Is the go into all of this always in the background, understanding that it's challenging to take the teachings of the ancient East and apply them in such a way where they accomplish the goal in the modern West, right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, the idea is there's wisdom there, there's tradition there, informed by wisdom,
Yeah.
that will be really helpful in getting us moving forward in life, but it'll be to adjust it just right. It's kind of like anyone could walk into the pharmacy and say there's a lot of medicine in there, a lot of stuff that can be really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, but it takes someone that's a bit expert to understand just how to apply
Yeah.
it according to the individual and according to their circumstances. And so that's
Like
why
that.
we need
I like
to, you
that.
know, as you're saying, Raghunath, have a community, have elders, have people that have walked this path before. You know, for someone like Amy, I get it. What Raghunath was warning about, the mind not being settled and looking here and looking there, maybe that's no longer an issue in your life.
You know, the way she said that, I was like, okay, she's not one of those persons. She's
Yeah.
settled. Her mind is settled.
But
She's
at
like,
the same
she's
time,
got a loud, been there, done that.
and at the same time, you know, like you're gonna have an empty nest maybe soon, and we'll have to see at that point if your mind is still steady, or if your circumstances of being so what's the word I'm looking for, I don't know if secluded is the right word, but being alone like that,
Self-reliant.
if it is a solid foundation for the cultivation of your deeper spiritual awareness, or if it's lacking something, right? And Raghunath's saying, yeah, maybe it's just a good community, maybe it's just good friends, maybe that's the way to adjust it, you know. Or maybe you'd maybe someone will look at you and say, Amy doesn't need that at all, she's just fine the way she, you know. So
Right.
having that person there that or people there, people that you can trust, people that have some insight into this, that becomes important. All right, I think we got 4 minutes. Should we do one more, or should we save it for tomorrow?
Yeah, we can say, well, there is no tomorrow.
No, there is tomorrow. We're doing Q&A tomorrow. Oh no, we said day off. That's right.
No, remember the day off.
Day off, yeah.
You know, also, you know, and another thing I was thinking, you know, me and Amy have been split up in our marriages, you know, and you could look back at the dream as, oh, I had a successful marriage, or I had a failed marriage, or the whole idea is like, it's just a chapter that ended at this point. You really have to, when you really zoom out in the whole life, the whole thing is just, even if it was rosy, it's over anyway. There's something beautiful about getting north of 50. You see things in a much different vantage point
Mm.
than trying to work everything and work out all my material details so perfectly. And that's why I think all of this stuff, if you can hear it at a young age, it's great. But it doesn't matter as long as you're bringing all this wisdom stuff into your old age.
Mm.
It becomes incredible. I'm working with a student / friend who's really just getting into all this stuff later in age, and he's just like, for whatever reason, it's like he's like, my sexual drive is not strong anymore. It used to be so strong. It used to be like I was possessed. And I said, it's interesting, because if you were a materialist, you'd be like, what am I doing? I can't perform. I can't. You'd be struggling and
Taking
miserable.
drugs.
And as a devotee, you're feeling like, you know what? I'm free. The witch or whatever was haunting me is gone, and now I can just hear and chant and be peaceful. Is such an important thing to imbibe spiritual life on a regular basis, especially as we get older. It makes for a beautiful, noble aging process.
Mm. Thank you, Raghunath.
Thank you.
Mara, I think we're done for today.
Miss Mara.
I don't have any takeaways.
No takeaways?
You have
How about
some
shake it
takeaways.
up? It's Saturday. Oh, everybody, thank you. Live from Vermont. We're taking a day off tomorrow. Going canoeing
canoeing?
with Mr. Taruni.
Last time you said you're going canoeing, you didn't know that.
Oh, all right. You gonna try to hold me? You're my canoeing accountability expert. Thank you.
I just want you to get out there and do it. That's all.
All right, I will. Last time I went grouting, I grouted, and I made a horrible mess.
Okay, maybe it's better you don't go canoeing.
I will not grout today, but I will canoe today. All right, you guys. Thanks for everything. It's been a great week of bhakti. Let's all think about what is our contribution. What is the why we want to wake up to? How can we contribute to this bhakti community? It's blowing up. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we want to be on the guru's radar. All the previous masters, we want to be on their radar. We want to be on Lord Chaitanya's radar. Meaning we want to wake up and say, this is my offering today. I'm so excited for this. That's a great meditation. It's a great prayer. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on a regular basis. Zoom people, if you want to join us on Zoom, you know what to do. Email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com. And remember to share this with anybody you think who needs it. It's important. It's so important. It's so easy. We're not asking you to go onto the street or a train station and distribute Bhagavad Gitas. Just press copy link and share. That's it. That's it. You've done your work for the day. It's so much easier. Kosuba faced so much rejection out there.
I had
All
my
you
life
gotta do is
threatened. I was
copy the link.
arrested, beaten.